Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be working on a few new stitches. If you haven't worked with front post stitches, then you're going to get some practice. Today we are going to be doing a front post treble and a front post double treble. We are also going to be doing a not complicated decrease stitch, but it does have 5 stitches in it, roughly. So there's 5 stitches for this decrease, and it's just that it's a double and double trebles. So we'll get into that. I went as slowly as I possibly could to make sure that it was very understandable. If there are any questions, leave me a comment below or send me a DM or email and I will answer you as quickly as possible. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So I chose to work with a 4mm hook and some fine yarn. This one is Cotton Fair. We're going to start with a slip knot. Insert your hook, tighten your loop, and begin with a chain 3. We're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the first stitch, or the first chain, yarn over and pull that through, yarn over, pull through 2, and repeat. So we've made our first double crochet, and that chain 2 does not count as a stitch. Do not count as a stitch. To make it easier, just put a stitch marker into the first stitch, and it will help you find your place a little bit easier so you won't be searching for it when you get back around. And we are going to make 12 double crochets into that same chain space until we get back to our first stitch made. Now at this point I am going to work in the tail and really start getting it in there so I don't have to worry about weaving it in or sewing it in later. It just makes it a little bit simpler, and at the end of the round you snip it off and move on and forget about it forever. It's great. To join it, I pull up my loop a little bit, I go into the back of the first stitch, and I insert my hook as if I were going in through the front, just reversed. So get in there. Now I'm going to wrap my loop back around my hook and pull it through. Now I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'll drop my loop again and just readjust and make sure it's on there the way I like it. You don't have to do this. It'll work even if you don't. But like I said, I'm a perfectionist and a bit of a pain in the butt when it comes to how I stitch. So once your hook is through, you've just made an invisible slip stitch. Chain up 2 again. And we're going to work our first somewhat complex stitch. It's going to begin with a double crochet. So work the first part of the double crochet. Now that you have 2 loops on your hook, we're going to yarn over twice and get into the stitch that we just worked into, but around the post. We're going to get in from the right, go under the post, and come back up on the left. Now we're going to yarn over, pull your loop through. We're going to be making a front post treble double crochet decrease. And we're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, repeat, pull through the next 2, and now just pull through all 3 loops that are remaining on your hook, and this is going to close off both the first double crochet and the post stitch that we made and turn it into just 1 stitch. so there's no confusion working your way around in the next round. And get back into that exact same stitch, and we're going to double crochet one more time because this is a decrease, an increase round. So we're going to increase our stitch, and repeat this twice more for the next 2 whiskers. Now we're going to double crochet increase in the next 3 stitches. So that's 2 double crochet in every stitch for the next 3 stitches before we start making the next set of whiskers. No, don't mind me. I'm just fighting with my ball of yarn. It keeps getting hooked on everything. Make our first double crochet for the next whisker, and this time we're starting it off with our post stitch. So yarn over twice and start the first part. Leave 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through the last 3 that are on your hook, making your final double crochet together. And again, do this twice more before we get to the next bit. There are 3 whiskers, at least the left ones. Make that last whisker around the last post, double crochet into that stitch, and our first round of complex stitches is done. And as before, we're going to repeat again, double crochet increase in the last 3 stitches remaining, and we're going to do our invisible join once again to the top, well, basically to the first stitch we made. Now, as you notice for the last round, we increased in every single stitch, making 24, excuse me, 24 stitches around. Now for this round, we are going to begin with a double crochet in the first stitch, well, obviously a chain 2, but our double crochet in the first stitch, and in the second stitch, we're going to increase. We're still increasing here. And we're going to increase in every second stitch. So in stitch 2, stitch 4, stitch 6, so on and so on, until 24. So we are going to end this row with just basically double crocheting around, until we have a total of 36 double crochet stitches, and we are going to join and begin our next set of, or the rest of the whiskers actually. Oh my god, you guys, I don't know if you noticed, but my camera totally cut out right there, and I was afraid that I lost some of my footage, but it turns out I actually only lost one of the stitches that I didn't do, so it's not too bad. But oh my god, like my heart literally stopped. So now that we are at the end of round 3, we are going to join the same way as we have the last 2 rounds. So continue joining however you've chosen to join. I'm going to make my invisible slip stitch, just because I like the way that it looks. Remember, perfectionist. Now we are going to be working into the first stitch and around the first whisker. You heard me right, the whisker. No other post, the whisker. So double crochet into that first stitch, or half of it anyway. Yarn over 3 times. We're making a double treble. You get into the first whisker, like right under it. You don't need to touch the stitch that's below it, literally just that whisker. Yarn over and pull through 2, again and again. And we have 3 loops, gotta pull through all 3, and there you go, you've completed your stitch. Now we gotta keep track. In the next stitch, double crochet. You may need to pause for this round because, yeah, it's a little bit more complicated. So into the next stitch, double crochet. This is our first leg of the increase stitch, so we're going to be increasing here. However, we are going to start with that double crochet and then yarn over 3 times, get around the second whisker, that middle one right there, and we're going to repeat the process. Yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over 2, pull through 2 more, and now that we have 2 in there, we're going to yarn over 1 more time, get into that stitch, and if you're not sure which one, it's an increase, so it's in the same stitch as the last double crochet we worked. And there we go, make your double crochet, decrease into it, and you've just joined your second whisker. And if you'll notice, there are 2 complete stitches in this row, complete stitches, not stitch spaces below, that we are going to double crochet between each whisker. So again, double crochet, and here, double crochet. Now to work out the last whisker, we're going to do the same as the previous one. Yarn over 3 times, get into the whisker, or below the whisker, sorry. My mouth is a little dry, I should get something to drink. And we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, and into the next stitch. So the stitch that hasn't been worked in yet. That's the one you're going to go into. And you're going to double crochet it together and one more double crochet. This is our increase stitch. Also, FYI, you're going to be starting in that specific stitch to make the first ear. Put a stitch marker. Very helpful. Trust me. You're going to thank me later. This is so much easier than trying to figure out which stitch goes where and which stitches join to what post. And yeah, it just, believe me. And if you want, grab a few more and we're going to place them as we go. I'll tell you where. So we are going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches and double crochet increase. Double crochet in 2 stitches. I didn't put a stitch marker, but put one in that stitch right there that we just made before continuing your next 2 double crochet. And then the next stitch after that is going to be an increase. And by the way, that second stitch marker, it's going to be the end of your ear. And we're going to repeat this on the other end, but we'll just do that once we get to the first ear. And again, repeat 2 double crochet increase, until we have a total of 19 stitches. 19. And just to verify, there are going to be 4 increase stitches in between the whiskers. Alright, so the next whisker. Double crochet in that stitch. And we're going to yarn over 3 times again, work around the post. You're probably getting the hang of this by now, so you don't need me to tell you. We yarn over and pull through 2 3 times again. And to make our decrease join, yarn over and go into the unworked stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. And this is an increase stitch. So, one more double crochet. Once more, double crochet into the next stitch. That's our second stitch. Now we're going to start making our next whisker. So, of course, repeat. Make your stitch decrease into the next unworked stitch. Next stitch is going to be an increase stitch. And if you're used to looking at your pieces and recognizing your increase stitches from previous rounds, you're going to be working every increase into the second leg of your previous increase, just for guidance. And you won't see these post stitches on the back of your work, so it'll be a lot easier for you to follow your stitch pattern on the back if you get lost at any point. And decrease, or stitch 2 together, I guess. Double crochet, and increase. Double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, increase. And continue this until the end, where we're going to be joining to the row, or at least at the beginning of the round, and starting our next round. Basically, we're going to work up to where we have to start the ears. Now from here, just slip stitch all the way, not invisible slip stitch, although you could, but I mean it would be a little bit more complicated. Just slip stitch all the way up to that first stitch marker that you put in. Hopefully you did it. It's going to be a lot easier. Otherwise, it's the stitch right after the third whisker. Not the one that it's joined to. The one after. The second one in that increase stitch. Okay? This is why I said put that stitch marker. It's a lifesaver. So from here, chain 6. This is going to be the exterior of your ear, the outer part of your ear. Or the cat's ear, not your ear. We're going to yarn over 3 times. So we're going to double treble into the first stitch. So the one right after that slip stitch and chain up. And we're not going to complete the stitch. We're going to work just the first 2 sections, and then we're going to yarn over again. So we're going to leave 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over twice, making a treble. Actually, in the next 3 stitches, we're making the treble. But we're not finishing this stitch off. We're leaving our loop on, the last loop. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, twice, and repeat. This is the last one, third one. Pull through 2. We're getting quite a few hoops on there. Alright, now the last one is yarn over 3 times, and this is where we're going to complete our stitch. So yarn over, pull through 2 3 times, and now yarn over, pull through all of them. All. Yeah, look at that. Now try not to fidget too much with this. You don't want to get lost, because trust me, I get lost in them. Take your time when you're going through. Make sure you don't get snagged on anything. And we're going to make a picot. Chain 3. Now, I like to drop my loop, mostly because it's just the way I'm making this stitch. I like the way that it looked. So I insert into the first 2 parts of the ginormous stitch together. Pull up my loop. And I'm going to probably fidget with it for a little bit, but just basically chain and fidget with it afterwards. And you're going to make chain 6. And slip stitch into the next stitch. This completes the outer edging of that first ear. Look how cute this is. Look how cute. Wait for it. Oh. Look at that. Okay. I absolutely love that ear. Like, I can play with this thing all day. It's so fun. I made it into a pillow. I'll show you later. But we're going to work our way across. So we're going to count back our stitches from the other whisker. So remember, there's 7 stitches. The whisker stitch does not count. We start in the one after it, and then you count back 7 stitches, put in your marker, and we're going to slip stitch all the way up to that stitch marker. And that's where we're going to start chaining up and doing our second ear the exact same way we did our first one. We've made it back. Alright, get in there and chain up. Total of 6. Just going to remove this. There you go. Okay. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we're going to yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3, get into the next stitch, insert your hook, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, leave 2 on, yarn over twice, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and repeat. Remember, 3 treble crochets and 2 double treble crochets together. Like I said, it was kind of a complicated stitch. You can click the link in the description box below if you need a visual aid, because I tend to work better with a visual aid. Even videos don't always click for me. I work so much better with charts. If you want to get the chart, you can just grab it down there, head over to my website and pick it up. Believe me, it's going to make this a lot easier to follow. And there are a lot of new little things in there, so it's totally worth it. And we're going to finish making our picot and chain. Join to the next stitch. So that stitch right before the whisker decrease double crochet stitch. And slip stitch right there. Now if you want to join this to an article of clothing or another knitted piece or crocheted piece, I would recommend you do it during this stage, because you can join it as you go, unless you prefer to lay it flat first and then position and play with it. But I mean, I find it easier, but you can also work it with your needle through the slip stitches without any trouble whatsoever. Just get in through that V for each stitch and you'll be totally fine. I chose to slip stitch around all the way to the first slip stitch just to finish off, give it a nice finished look. Now from here I just got into the first original slip stitch, pulled up my loop, and that's it. You can't even see it in there anymore. Pulled through, got into the next slip stitch from the back, and just dragged it on through. Believe it or not, you can hide your stitches really easily when you follow the actual working stitch. I made them in so many colors too, guys. Oh, look, I even added a nose. And I actually turned this and the other purple one you see in the back, I stitched them together and I turned them into a little kitty cushion. Or you can pick up all the other squares and make yourself a blanket. All of my patterns, or at least all of my Halloween designs, are off, or 30% off until the end of October. And of course, subscribe to get access to all of my free content first. Until next time, happy Halloween!